You may believe that the person you cannot forget is still living in your mind because you loved them too deeply. You may believe that time has failed to heal you, that your heart is weak, or that something unfinished still exists between you. But what if the person you cannot forget is not meant to remain in your life? What if they were sent to reveal your life to you? From the perspective associated with Ibn Arabi's teachings, love is never only about the person standing before you. Love is also a mirror. Through another human being, you may witness beauty, longing, fear, attachment, tenderness, jealousy, hope, and loss. You think you are discovering them, but in many moments, you are actually discovering yourself. Some people enter your life and awaken parts of your soul that had been silent for years. They reveal what you desire, what you fear, what you worship, and what you still need to heal. Their presence may feel like a gift. Their departure may feel like destruction. Yet both can become forms of spiritual instruction. The deepest question is not always, why can I not forget this person? The deeper question may be, what did Allah allow me to see through them? Perhaps you were not meant to possess them. Perhaps you were meant to recognize something through them. Perhaps the face you keep remembering became a mirror in which your soul briefly saw its own hunger for love, wholeness, and return. 1. The person you love reveals what your heart worships. Love exposes the heart. Before a certain person enters your life, you may believe that you are emotionally strong. You may think you are spiritually grounded, independent, and fully in control of your feelings. You may believe that you can love without losing yourself. You may even look at other people who become deeply attached and wonder why they cannot simply remain calm. Then someone arrives, and everything changes. Their message can brighten your entire day. Their silence can make you question everything. Their approval begins to feel more valuable than your own judgment. Their presence gives you peace, but their distance fills you with fear. You start watching their behavior closely. You notice small changes in their voice, their replies, their attention, and their mood. You begin measuring your worth through how warmly or coldly they respond to you. At this point, you may say, I love them deeply. That may be true, but something else may also be happening. The relationship may be revealing the hidden structure of your heart. Love does not only show you how much you care about another person, it also shows you what you fear, what you depend on, and what you have quietly placed at the center of your emotional life. A person can become a mirror. Through them you begin to see what was already living inside you. You may discover that your greatest fear is not losing the person, but feeling unwanted again. You may discover that their attention gave you a sense of worth that you were unable to give yourself. You may discover that you were not simply enjoying their presence. You were using their presence to escape your own emptiness. You may say, I cannot live without them. But often, what this truly means is, I do not know how to face myself without the comfort they gave me. You may say, they are the only person who understands me. But beneath that statement may be another truth. I have never learned how to understand my own heart. You may say, I only want them. Yet the deeper meaning may be, I want the feeling of being chosen, wanted, and valued. This is why love can be so revealing. It brings hidden needs to the surface. The mirror is painful because it does not always show you what you want to see. It shows you where love has quietly become dependence. It shows you where affection has turned into fear. It shows you where appreciation has slowly become emotional worship. This does not mean that loving someone is wrong. It does not mean closeness is weakness. Human beings naturally need connection, affection, and companionship. The problem begins when another person becomes the foundation of your identity. When your mood depends entirely on how they treat you, you have given them too much power. When their approval decides whether you feel valuable, you have placed your worth in unstable hands. When their absence makes your entire life feel meaningless, the relationship may have taken a place in your heart that no human being can safely carry. From a spiritual understanding often connected with Ibn Arabi, the created world reflects signs of the divine. A person may reflect beauty, kindness, patience, tenderness, intelligence, or mercy. Through them, you may witness qualities that touch something very deep within you, but the person is still a reflection. They are not the source. This difference is essential. Imagine sunlight entering a room through a window. You may love the way the light appears on the floor. You may admire the warmth, the brightness, and the feeling it creates. But the window did not create the sun. It only allowed the light to pass through. In the same way, a person may bring love into your life. They may awaken tenderness in your heart. They may make you feel seen, alive, safe, or inspired. But they did not create love itself. They only became a place through which you experienced it. If the window closes, the sun has not disappeared. If the mirror breaks, the light still exists. This is where much human suffering begins. We mistake the reflection for the source. We believe that because love reached us through one person, love can never reach us again without them. We believe that because one person awakened our heart belongs completely to them. Then fear enters. You become afraid of losing them because you believe losing them means losing love. You become afraid of their change because you have tied your peace to their consistency. You become afraid of their silence because you have made their attention the proof of your value. This is not freedom, it is emotional captivity. The lesson is not to stop loving. The lesson is to love without turning a human being into an idol. Love them, but do not make them responsible for your entire sense of self. Appreciate their presence, but remember that they are limited, changing, and human. Listen to their words, but do not let their opinion become more important than the truth Allah has placed within your conscience. Enjoy the connection, but do not build your spiritual foundation upon something that can change tomorrow. Every human being is temporary. Feelings change, circumstances change, people grow, move away, become confused, or choose different paths. Even the most sincere person cannot promise that they will always meet every emotional need inside you. If you demand that from them, you are asking a human being to carry a weight they were never created to carry. This is why the heart must remain connected to Allah even while it loves people. When your heart is rooted in Allah, you can love with greater honesty. You do not need to control the person. You do not need constant reassurance. You do not need to reduce yourself in order to keep them. You do not need their approval to believe that you are worthy of dignity. You can appreciate them without worshiping them. You can miss them without losing yourself. You can grieve their absence without believing your life has ended. You can love them deeply and still remember that they are not your creator, your identity, or the final source of your peace. Ask yourself a difficult question. Did I truly love this person? Or did I make them the keeper of my worth? Did I love who they were? Or did I love how important they made me feel? Did I appreciate their presence? Or did I depend on them to save me from my own loneliness? Did I want to share life with them? Or did I expect them to repair every wound within me? These questions may be uncomfortable, but discomfort is not always harm. Sometimes discomfort is truth entering the heart. The answer may hurt because it may show you that the relationship was carrying more than love. It may have been carrying old wounds, hidden fears, unmet needs, and the deep desire to be chosen. Do not judge yourself harshly when you see this. Awareness is not a punishment. It is an opening. When you see where your heart has become dependent, you can begin to return it to balance. You can learn to receive love without making it your God. You can learn to value another person without handing them control over your peace. You can begin to understand that the love you felt did not come from emptiness. It revealed a capacity already placed within you. The person may have awakened that love, but the love was always in your heart. The person may have reflected beauty, but beauty did not begin with them. The person may have made you feel alive, but your life was never truly theirs to give or take away. The mirror has shown you where your heart was weak, where it was hungry, and where it was searching. Now the question is whether you will continue worshiping the reflection or begin returning to the light. Truth may hurt in the beginning, but truth removes the chains that attachment creates. And that is why honest self-knowledge is often the first step toward real freedom. 2. What you admire in them may be a hidden part of you. Sometimes you cannot forget a person because they carried qualities you had lost within yourself. You may believe that you miss only them. You may think you are attached to their voice, their presence, their personality, or the way they treated you. But beneath that longing, something deeper may be happening. You may also be missing the version of yourself that appeared when you were with them. Certain people awaken parts of us that have been silent for years. They do not place those qualities inside us. They simply bring them to the surface. Perhaps the person was confident, while you had spent most of your life doubting yourself. Perhaps they were emotionally open, while you had learned to hide your feelings. Perhaps they were free, spontaneous, and honest, while you had built your life around fear, duty, and the expectations of others. Their presence may have shown you a way of being that you secretly desired. You may have admired their courage because you had abandoned your own courage. You may have admired their gentleness because you had forgotten how to be gentle with yourself. You may have admired their independence because you had spent years living for approval. You may have admired their faith because your own spiritual life had become dry. You may have admired their joy because you had become serious, tired, and disconnected from the simple beauty of life. This is why some people affect us so deeply. They do not only attract us, they remind us. They remind us of what we have buried, neglected, or refused to become. A person may enter your life and make you feel more alive. Around them, you may speak more openly. You may laugh more freely. You may feel creative again. You may begin dreaming about a different future. You may take risks you would normally avoid. Then the relationship ends, and you feel as though all of that life disappeared with them. You may say, "I was happier when they were here." That may be true, but it is not the complete truth. Perhaps you were happier because you gave yourself permission to be different around them. Perhaps you allowed yourself to become softer, more expressive, more hopeful, and more honest. Their presence gave you the courage to meet a part of yourself that had been waiting to be seen. When they left, you believed that part of you left as well. But it did not. It became hidden again. This is an important distinction. The person may have helped you access a part of yourself, but they did not own that part. Your courage was never theirs. Your tenderness was never theirs. Your joy, imagination, confidence, and emotional depth were not created by them. They were already inside you. The relationship only became the place where those qualities felt safe enough to appear. Imagine standing in front of a mirror. The mirror shows you your face, but it does not create your face. If the mirror is removed, your face does not disappear. In the same way, another person may reflect your beauty, strength, or hidden potential back to you. If they leave, what they revealed does not stop existing. The problem is that many people begin chasing the mirror instead of reclaiming what the mirror showed them. They keep thinking, "I need that person back so I can feel like myself again." But perhaps the deeper truth is that you need to become yourself without needing that person to unlock you. This is harder, but it is also more honest. Ask yourself, who was I when I was with them? Were you more confident? Were you more playful? Were you more honest about your feelings? Did you take better care of yourself? Did you become more spiritually aware? Did you begin writing, creating, traveling, learning, or dreaming again? Did you speak in a way that felt more natural? Did you feel seen enough to stop hiding? These questions are important because they help you understand what the connection revealed. You may not be able to bring the person back. You may not even be meant to bring them back, but you can still reclaim the qualities that came alive through them. If they made you feel brave, start making brave decisions without them. If they encouraged your creativity, return to the work you stopped doing. If they showed you tenderness, begin treating yourself and others with that same tenderness. If they awakened your spiritual hunger, do not turn that hunger into endless longing for a person. Let it guide you toward Allah. If they made you feel free, begin asking why your ordinary life feels like a prison. The person may have opened a door, but you are the one who must walk through it. Sometimes we place too much importance on the person because we do not yet understand the message. We say, "They were everything I wanted," but perhaps they were showing you everything you wanted to become. We say, "They completed me," but perhaps they revealed the parts of you that were waiting to be developed. We say, "No one else will ever make me feel that way," but perhaps the feeling was not created by them alone. Perhaps it came from the freedom, hope, honesty, and aliveness you allowed yourself to experience in their presence. This does not reduce the importance of the relationship, it gives it a deeper meaning. The connection may have been real, the love may have been sincere, the memories may remain powerful, but you do not honor the relationship by remaining emotionally frozen. You honor it by growing into what it awakened. From a spiritual perspective, associated with Ibn Arabi, the world of forms can reveal hidden meanings. People, events, beauty, loss, and longing can become signs. They can show us something about ourselves and about our relationship with Allah. The mistake is to stop at the form. You see courage through a person, so you believe courage belongs only to them. You see love through a person, so you believe love can only come through them. You experience peace around a person, so you believe peace has disappeared because they are gone. But the form is not the meaning. The person was a doorway. They were not the entire world behind the door. This understanding does not make separation painless. You may still miss them. You may still remember the way they looked at you, the way they listened, or the way their presence changed the atmosphere around you. But memory does not have to become dependence. You can hold the memory and still move forward. You can appreciate what they awakened without believing you must return to the same relationship. You can say, "Through this person, I discovered something real about myself. Now I must learn how to live that truth consciously." This is where emotional maturity begins. A mature heart does not only ask, "How can I get them back?" It also asks, "What did I become near them, and why was I not living that way before?" Perhaps you were more honest because you finally felt accepted. Then learn to accept yourself enough to speak honestly. Perhaps you were more joyful because you stopped worrying about how others judged you. Then stop rebuilding the same prison after they leave. Perhaps you were more loving because you finally felt safe. Then create relationships, habits, and spiritual practices that allow love to remain part of your life. Perhaps you were more alive because you finally stopped delaying your own desires. Then do not return to a life built only around fear and obligation. The person you cannot forget may have become unforgettable because they were connected to your own awakening. You may think you are remembering them, but sometimes you are remembering the first moment you truly saw yourself. This is why letting go can feel like losing your identity. You do not only fear losing the relationship, you fear losing the person you became inside it. But that person is still yours. You do not have to remain attached to another human being in order to protect the part of yourself they awakened. You can carry the lesson forward. You can become more courageous, more open, more disciplined, more loving, and more truthful. You can allow the meeting to change your life without demanding that the person remain in your life forever. This is one of the deepest meanings of the mirror. A mirror is useful because it helps you see. But once you have seen, You must decide what to do with that knowledge. You do not spend your whole life begging the mirror to return. You remember the face it revealed. The person may have shown you that you were capable of deep love. They may have shown you that your heart was not as closed as you believed. They may have revealed your softness, your courage, your desire for beauty, or your need for a more meaningful life. Now those discoveries belong to you. Do not abandon them simply because the relationship has ended. Do not say, "That version of me existed only because of them." Say instead, "They helped me discover a version of myself that I am now responsible for becoming." This shift changes everything. You stop seeing the connection only as a loss. You begin seeing it as an unveiling. You stop asking why the person took so much of you away. You begin asking what they helped you recover. Perhaps the real gift was not only that you loved them, perhaps the real gift was that, through loving them, you briefly met a truer part of yourself. And now your work is not to chase the person who revealed it. Your work is to stop hiding that part of yourself again. 3. Intense recognition does not always mean permanent union. Some people enter your life and feel strangely familiar from the beginning. You may meet them and feel as though something inside you already knows them. The conversation may feel effortless. Their presence may feel natural. You may notice a sense of comfort that usually takes months or years to develop. Yet with them, it appears almost immediately. You may think, "Why does this person feel so familiar?" You may feel that they understand parts of you that others never noticed. You may speak to them with unusual honesty. Silence between you may not feel empty. It may feel full, meaningful, and safe. Because the connection feels rare, your mind may quickly create a conclusion. You may believe that this person must be meant to stay forever. You may think that such a strong emotional or spiritual connection could not possibly be temporary. You may begin imagining a future before the relationship has had time to become clear. You may believe that the intensity itself is proof of destiny. But intensity is not always proof of permanence. This is one of the most difficult truths to accept. A connection can be real and still be temporary. A person can matter deeply and still not be meant to remain in your life. A meeting can change you forever without becoming a lifelong relationship. The human heart often believes that anything meaningful must last. We think that if a relationship ends, then perhaps it was never real. We look back at the connection and begin doubting everything. We ask whether the love was false, whether the memories were imagined, or whether we misunderstood the entire experience. But duration is not the only measure of meaning. Some of the most important moments in life are brief. A single conversation can change the direction of your thinking. One sentence can remain in your heart for years. A teacher may appear for one season and give you an understanding that shapes the rest of your life. A stranger may show you kindness at the exact moment you had lost hope. The fact that something did not last forever does not mean it had no purpose. A sunrise is brief, but it is still beautiful. A season ends, but it still changes the earth. A person may walk beside you for only part of the road and still help you reach a place you could not have reached alone. This is where the ego struggles. The ego wants to possess whatever feels precious. When something touches you deeply, you do not only want to experience it, you want to keep it. You want certainty. You want guarantees. You want the person to remain exactly where they are in your life. You may say, if this connection is truly special, then it must become permanent. But spiritual meaning does not always follow the plans of the ego. Sometimes a person enters your life to awaken you, not to stay with you. Sometimes they arrive to expose a hidden wound, interrupt an unhealthy pattern, or show you a different way of living. Sometimes they come to teach you what love feels like, but not to become your final partner. Sometimes they become part of your story so that you can finally see the direction in which your soul needs to grow. Their purpose may be deep, even if their presence is brief. This is why you must learn to separate significance from ownership. A person can be significant without belonging to you. A relationship can be sacred without becoming permanent. A connection can be meaningful without becoming the future you imagined. This does not mean every painful ending should be romanticized. Not every person who hurts you was a divine messenger. Some people are simply careless, dishonest, confused, or emotionally unavailable. Spiritual language should never be used to excuse betrayal, manipulation, or cruelty. But even when another person behaves badly, the experience may still reveal something important about you. It may show you what you tolerated because you were afraid to be alone. It may reveal how quickly you confuse attention with love. It may uncover your habit of ignoring reality when you desperately want a certain outcome. It may teach you that a strong connection is not enough without respect, consistency, honesty, and shared responsibility. Intensity can make you overlook what is actually happening. You may feel so emotionally connected that you ignore clear incompatibility. You may feel spiritually drawn to the person and assume this means you must endure confusion, distance, broken promises, or repeated disappointment. You may keep saying, "But what we have is rare." Perhaps it is rare, but rare does not always mean healthy. Strong feelings do not automatically create a stable relationship. Recognition does not remove the need for character. Chemistry does not replace commitment. Spiritual language does not repair a lack of honesty. A meaningful connection still requires reality. This is where many people become trapped. They fall in love with the meaning they have given the relationship, and then they stop looking at the relationship itself. They remember the first conversations, the emotional closeness, the feeling of being understood, and the sense that the meeting was somehow written. They use those memories to excuse what the connection later became. But a beautiful beginning does not guarantee a healthy ending. A powerful feeling does not always mean two people are capable of building a peaceful life together. Sometimes, the connection is there to show you something, not to become everything. From an Ibn Arabi-inspired perspective, the world contains signs and reflections. A person may appear in your life as a form through which a deeper meaning becomes visible. You may see love, longing, beauty, fear, or spiritual hunger through them. But the form is not always meant to remain. Think of a mirror reflecting sunlight for a few moments. The light appears, touches the room, and then moves. The mirror may no longer hold the same reflection, but the light itself has not become false. In the same way, a relationship may carry truth even if it changes. You may have truly loved. You may have truly been changed. You may have truly experienced a rare sense of recognition. Yet none of these truths guarantee permanent union. The heart does not like this, because the heart wants clear answers. It wants to know why a person who felt so right could become unavailable. It wants to know why someone who awakened so much love was not able to stay. Sometimes there is no explanation that completely satisfies the mind. Sometimes the lesson is learning that meaning can remain even when the person does not. You do not need to destroy the memory in order to move forward. You do not need to decide that the relationship was meaningless simply because it ended. You can hold two truths at the same time. You can say, "This person mattered deeply to me," and also say, "This person is not meant to remain in my life." You can say, "The connection was real," and also say, "The relationship was not sustainable." You can say, "I will always be grateful for what I learned," and also say, "I will not continue chasing what no longer chooses me." This is emotional maturity. Immaturity demands that every meaningful experience become permanent. Maturity understands that some experiences complete their purpose and then end. The ending does not erase the purpose. Imagine a traveler joining you on a long road. For many miles, you walk together. You share food, stories, silence, and protection. Because the companionship feels important, you begin to assume that you will travel together until the end. Then the road divides. The other person must take one direction, and you must take another. You may feel betrayed by the road itself. You may think, why did we meet if we were not meant to finish together? But perhaps the meeting helped both of you reach the place where the road divided. Perhaps you needed their companionship for that part of the journey. Perhaps they needed yours. The value of the journey is not canceled because the paths later separate. In the same way, not every person who walks with you is meant to reach your final destination. Some people are part of your preparation. Some teach you how to open your heart. Some show you what you should never accept again. Some awaken your courage. Some expose your attachment. Some teach you the difference between longing and love. Some help you understand that being deeply seen by another person is beautiful, but it is not the same as being truly safe with them. The relationship may have been a chapter, not the whole book. The ego often hates chapters because it wants final ownership. It says, if this person is not the ending, then why did they matter so much? But life does not work that way. A chapter can change the meaning of everything that follows. A temporary person can leave a permanent lesson. A short connection can reveal a truth you would have avoided for years. The real question is not only, why did they leave? The deeper question is, what changed inside me because they came? Did they show you that you are capable of loving deeply? Did they reveal that you had been living with your heart closed? Did they show you that you crave emotional honesty? Did they expose how quickly you abandon yourself when you fear losing someone? Did they teach you that a connection without clarity can become a source of pain? Did they reveal the kind of relationship you now know you need? These lessons matter, but you lose the lesson when you remain obsessed with recreating the exact same form. You may keep returning to the memory, hoping that the person will come back so the story can end the way you imagined. You may refuse new opportunities because you compare everyone to that one connection. You may believe that moving forward would betray what you felt. But growth is not betrayal. Healing does not erase love. Accepting the end does not mean the connection was unimportant. It means you are allowing the meaning to remain, without forcing the form to return. This is one of the hardest acts of surrender. You stop demanding that the person prove the connection was real by staying forever. You stop asking the past to become the future. You stop turning memory into a contract. You accept that some people are sent to awaken the heart, not to own it. And sometimes, the connection feels so intense because it was meant to interrupt you. Perhaps you were moving through life without questioning anything. Then this person entered and forced you to feel again. They exposed your loneliness, your desire for intimacy, your spiritual hunger, or your fear of vulnerability. Their arrival disturbed your old life. Their departure may disturb it even more. But disturbance is not always destruction. Sometimes, it is the beginning of awareness. You may spend months asking why the person could not stay. But perhaps the more important question is whether you will remain awake after they leave. Will you return to the same emotional habits? Will you close your heart again? Will you continue accepting relationships that offer intensity without stability? Will you confuse longing with destiny, or will you become wiser? A powerful connection should not only leave you with memories, it should leave you with clearer vision. You should understand yourself better. You should recognize your patterns sooner. You should become more honest about what love requires. You should learn that real connection is not only about feeling deeply, it is also about showing up consistently, communicating clearly, acting with respect, and choosing one another in reality. The person may have felt like a sign, but a sign points somewhere. It is not the destination itself. Perhaps they pointed you toward greater self-knowledge. Perhaps they pointed you toward Allah. Perhaps they showed you that your heart was looking for permanence in a temporary human being. Perhaps they revealed that your deepest longing was larger than any one relationship could satisfy. This does not make the love false. It places the love in a wider truth. You can be grateful without remaining attached. You can remember without waiting. You can honor what happened without building your entire future around what ended. The person may have been important, They may always remain part of your story, but they do not have to remain the center of your life. Sometimes the most respectful way to hold a meaningful connection is to let it become what it truly was: a meeting, a lesson, an awakening, and a turning point. Not every soul you recognize is meant to stay beside you forever. Some are meant to help you recognize yourself. Some are meant to show you the road, and once they have done that, your task is not to remain standing where they left. Your task is to continue walking. For their absence may reveal the wound, their presence concealed. When someone leaves your life, the pain can feel immediate and overwhelming. You may believe that everything you are feeling began with their departure. You may think, "I was fine before they left. Their absence created this emptiness inside me." But sometimes, a person's departure does not create the deepest wound. It reveals a wound that was already there. Their presence may have covered it for a while. Their attention may have distracted you from it. Their affection may have made you feel safe enough to forget that the wound existed. Then they leave, become distant, or stop loving you in the way they once did, and suddenly, the pain beneath the surface appears. This is why some heartbreak feels much larger than the relationship itself. You may have known the person for only a few months, yet losing them feels like losing your entire life. You may understand logically that the relationship was not healthy, but emotionally, you still feel unable to release it. You may ask yourself, why is this affecting me so deeply? The answer may not be found only in what happened between you and that person. The answer may be found in everything their departure reminded you of. Perhaps their silence reminded you of a parent who ignored your feelings. Perhaps their rejection awakened the memory of being left out, overlooked, or compared with others. Perhaps their decision to choose someone else touched an old fear that you are never enough. Perhaps their emotional distance returned you to the loneliness you felt as a child, when no one noticed your sadness. The person may be gone, but the pain you are feeling may contain many older losses. You are not only grieving them, you may be grieving every time you felt unwanted. You may be grieving every moment you had to earn love by being useful, quiet, obedient, attractive, successful, or emotionally easy to handle. You may be grieving every relationship in which you gave more than you received. You may be grieving the years in which you secretly hoped that one person would finally prove that you were worthy of being chosen. This is why the pain can feel so intense. The present loss opens the door, and many forgotten feelings enter through it. Before this person came into your life, you may have carried the belief that you were difficult to love. You may not have spoken this belief aloud, but it quietly shaped your choices. You may have accepted less than you deserved because you believed that asking for more would make people leave. You may have ignored disrespect because being mistreated felt safer than being alone. You may have become deeply attached to small amounts of attention because you were emotionally starved. Then this person arrived. They listened to you. They noticed you. They made you feel special. They gave you the feeling that someone had finally seen what others had missed. For a while, the old wound became quiet. You began to think, perhaps I am lovable after all. But instead of allowing that truth to grow inside you, you may have attached it completely to them. You began to believe, I am lovable because this person loves me. That difference matters. If your sense of worth depends on another person's love, then their withdrawal will not feel like the end of a relationship. It will feel like proof that you were never worthy. Their absence then becomes more than absence. It becomes a judgment. You start thinking, they left because I was not enough. You replay every conversation, searching for the moment you failed. You analyze your appearance, your personality, your mistakes, and your needs. You imagine that if you had been calmer, more beautiful, more patient, less emotional, or more understanding, they would have stayed. This is the wounded mind trying to regain control. It believes that if everything was your fault, then perhaps you can change yourself enough to prevent abandonment in the future. But this way of thinking often becomes cruel. You begin punishing yourself for another person's choices. You turn their inability to love consistently into evidence against your worth. You assume that their distance reveals something defective within you. Yet people leave for many reasons. Some are emotionally immature. Some fear intimacy. Some want attention but cannot offer commitment. Some make promises based on temporary feelings. Some care about you, but are still unable to build a healthy relationship. Some choose different paths because their desires, values, or priorities change. Their departure may hurt you deeply, but it does not automatically define you. Still, the wound inside you may interpret everything personally. This is why self-awareness becomes necessary. You must ask, what does this loss seem to prove about me? Does it make you feel invisible? Does it make you feel replaceable? Does it make you believe that no one will ever stay? Does it make you feel that your needs are too much? Does it awaken the fear that you will always be abandoned? These feelings often reveal the old wound beneath the new pain. The person's absence may have uncovered it, but they may not be its original source. This understanding does not mean you should ignore what they did. If they lied, betrayed you, manipulated you, or treated you carelessly, you should name that honestly. Spiritual reflection must never become a way to excuse harmful behavior. You do not need to say, "They hurt me because Allah wanted to teach me something," and then pretend the harm did not matter. What happened matters. Their behavior may have been wrong. Your pain may be completely understandable, but if you focus only on their wrongdoing, you may miss the deeper healing now being asked of you. You may spend years waiting for them to apologize. You may imagine that one honest conversation will finally give you peace. You may believe that if they admit what they did, the pain will disappear. But what happens if they never apologize? What happens if they never understand you? What happens if they continue living as though the relationship meant very little? Will your healing remain trapped in their hands? As long as you believe they are the only person who can repair your pain, you remain emotionally connected to them. You have made them the owner of the wound and the owner of the cure. This gives too much power to someone who may no longer be present. Healing begins when you understand that closure is not always something another person gives you. Sometimes closure is the truth you finally give yourself. You may need to admit, "I wanted this person to heal something that existed before they came." You may need to say, "I did not only want their love, I wanted their love to erase every memory of rejection." You may need to recognize, "I expected this relationship to prove that I was finally safe." These admissions can feel painful because they remove the romantic story and reveal the emotional need beneath it. But this is not something to be ashamed of. Human beings naturally seek healing through connection. We want to be seen, accepted, and loved. The problem begins when we make one person responsible for repairing every injury inside us. No human being can carry that responsibility forever. Even a loving partner cannot become your entire source of safety. Even a loyal person cannot erase every fear you developed before meeting them. Even the healthiest relationship cannot replace the work of understanding your own heart. From an Ibn Arabi-inspired spiritual perspective, painful experiences can become forms of unveiling. They bring hidden realities into view. Before the loss, you may not have known how deeply you feared abandonment. You may not have realized how much of your worth depended on being chosen. You may not have seen how easily you ignored your own needs to keep another person close. Their departure made these things visible. Visibility can feel like suffering at first, but what remains hidden cannot be healed. Imagine having an injury beneath your clothing. As long as you do not look at it, you can pretend it is not serious, but the injury continues to affect you. When it is finally uncovered, the sight may frighten you. Yet only then can you clean it, understand it, and begin treating it. The same is true of emotional wounds. The person's absence may have removed the covering. Now you can see what has been shaping your relationships for years. Perhaps you always choose people who are emotionally distant because their distance feels familiar. Perhaps you try to earn love because you never learned that love should not require constant performance. Perhaps you become attached quickly because attention feels rare. Perhaps you stay too long because leaving feels like repeating the abandonment you once suffered. These patterns do not mean you are broken, but they do mean there is work to do. You cannot heal a pattern by repeatedly blaming each new person who activates it. Some people may truly be responsible for hurting you, but the pattern continues because the wound remains untreated. You must become curious about your reactions. When they did not reply, why did your mind immediately assume rejection? When they needed space, why did you feel certain they would never return? When they became inconsistent, why did you work harder instead of stepping back? When they hurt you, why did you focus on proving your value rather than protecting your dignity? The answers may lead you into your past. You may remember that love was once unpredictable. You may remember having to read the moods of the adults around you. You may remember trying to be perfect so that conflict would not happen. You may remember feeling responsible for keeping everyone happy. These early experiences teach the heart certain rules. The heart may learn, if I am useful, people will keep me. It may learn, if I express my needs, I will be rejected. It may learn, love must be earned. It may learn, distance means danger. Years later, you may carry those rules into adult relationships without realizing it. Then someone leaves, and the old rules seem to become true again. But old emotional rules are not always truth. They are often survival strategies, created by a younger version of you. That younger part of you may still be waiting for someone to say, "You do not have to earn your right to be loved." The person you lost may not be able to say it. You may have to begin saying it to yourself. This does not mean repeating empty positive statements while ignoring reality. It means changing the way you treat yourself. It means no longer begging people for basic respect. It means no longer staying where affection is repeatedly withdrawn as punishment. It means learning to express your needs without shame. It means choosing relationships where love is demonstrated through consistency, not only intense words. It means allowing your worth to remain stable, even when another person cannot see it. This is where spiritual grounding becomes essential. If your worth depends entirely on creation, it will always feel unstable. People change. Their attention changes. Their feelings change. Their understanding is limited. But your value before Allah is not created by another human being's decision to stay or leave. A person may fail to recognize your heart. That does not mean your heart has no value. A person may not be capable of loving you well. That does not mean you are impossible to love. A person may choose another life. That does not mean your life has become meaningless. Their absence may reveal how much power you had given them, but it can also become the beginning of taking that power back. You do this slowly. You allow yourself to grieve without turning grief into self-hatred. You stop checking their life for evidence that they regret losing you. You stop measuring your healing by whether they return. You stop using their new relationships as proof that someone else was better than you. You accept that their choices belong to them. Your healing belongs to you. You may still wish they had stayed. You may still miss their presence. Healing does not require you to become emotionally cold. It requires you to become honest. You can say, "I miss them, but I also understand that I depended on them to silence a wound they did not create." You can say, "Their departure hurt me, but I will not allow it to define my worth." You can say, "I wanted their apology, but I will not delay my peace until they become capable of giving it." This is not denial. It is responsibility. You begin caring for the part of you that feels abandoned. Instead of criticizing your pain, you listen to it. Instead of saying, "Why am I still affected by this?" ask, "What inside me is still afraid?" Perhaps the answer is, "I am afraid no one will ever choose me again." Then face that fear honestly. Do not answer it with false promises. Answer it by becoming someone who no longer abandons themselves. You cannot control whether every person stays, but you can stop leaving yourself in order to keep them. You can stop betraying your values. You can stop ignoring your intuition. You can stop accepting confusion as love. You can stop treating another person's attention as more important than your own dignity. This is how the wound begins to heal. Healing is not forgetting the person. It is no longer using their absence as proof that you are unworthy. Healing is not pretending the relationship never mattered. It is understanding that its ending revealed where your heart still needed care. Healing is not becoming unable to love again. It is learning to love without abandoning yourself. The person's presence may have temporarily concealed your loneliness. Their absence may have made it impossible to ignore. But loneliness seen clearly can become an invitation. It can invite you to build a stronger relationship with yourself. It can invite you to create a life that does not collapse when one person leaves. It can invite you toward healthier friendships, honest boundaries, deeper faith, and a more stable inner world. Most importantly, it can invite you back toward Allah. Sometimes you reach for people because you want them to give you permanent safety. But no temporary human being can offer permanent certainty. This does not make human love meaningless. It simply places it in its proper position. Love people. Trust wisely. Build meaningful relationships. But do not ask another person to become the final answer to every fear inside you. Their presence may comfort you. Their love may support you. Their companionship may enrich your life. But the deepest foundation of your heart must rest somewhere stronger than another person's changing emotions. The wound their absence revealed is not proof that you are doomed. It is proof that something inside you is finally asking to be understood. Do not cover it again by immediately searching for another person to remove the pain. Do not rush into a new connection simply because silence feels unbearable. Sit with what has been revealed. Ask where the fear began. Notice the beliefs the loss has awakened. Bring those beliefs before Allah. Tell the truth without trying to sound strong. Say, I am afraid of being forgotten. Say, I believed this person's love made me valuable. Say, I do not know who I am without their attention. There is no spiritual growth in pretending you do not feel what you feel. Sincerity begins when performance ends. You may discover that the person you thought was the center of your pain was actually standing above a much older wound. Their departure exposed it. Now you have a choice. You can spend years waiting for the person to return and cover the wound again. Or you can begin healing what their presence only concealed. The second path is harder because it places responsibility in your hands. But it is also the path that gives you freedom. One day, you may look back and realize that losing them did not destroy you. It forced you to meet the part of yourself that had been asking for love long before they arrived. And perhaps that was the deeper purpose of the mirror. It did not only show you the person you loved, it showed you the wound that was still controlling how you loved. Once you see that wound clearly, you no longer have to build your life around avoiding it. You can care for it. You can understand it. You can grow beyond it. Their absence may have opened the pain, but it may also open the path through which your heart finally learns not to abandon itself again. 5. Love becomes suffering. When you demand ownership, love naturally creates longing. When you care deeply about someone, you want closeness. You want to hear from them. You want to know that they are safe, loyal, and emotionally present. You want the connection to continue. You may imagine a future with them and hope that the bond will grow stronger with time. These desires are human. Wanting someone to remain in your life is not automatically unhealthy. Wanting commitment is not weakness. Wanting honesty, loyalty, and stability is reasonable in a serious relationship. The problem begins when love slowly changes into ownership. You stop seeing the other person as a human being with their own choices, fears, limits, and spiritual journey. Instead, you begin seeing them as someone who must complete the future you have imagined. You may not say, "I own you," but your expectations may carry that meaning. You may think, "Because I love you, you must choose me. Because I gave you my heart, you must never change. Because we shared something meaningful, you must remain available to me. Because I made sacrifices for you, you owe me the life I imagined." At this point, you are no longer loving only the person. You are also loving your plan for the person. You are attached to the role you have assigned them in your story. You may want them to become your partner, your emotional safety, your future, your proof that you are worthy, and the person who finally makes your life feel complete. When they move away from this role, you feel betrayed. Sometimes they may truly betray you. They may break promises, lie, or behave carelessly. That must be acknowledged honestly. But at other times, the person may simply be showing you that they cannot become who you expected them to be. They may not want the same future. They may not feel the same depth of commitment. They may be unable to offer the kind of relationship you need. They may be on a path that no longer includes you. The truth may be painful, but pain does not give you ownership over their decisions. Love cannot force another soul to remain. From the outside, control can sometimes look like devotion. You may constantly check where the person is, because you say you are worried about them. You may become upset when they spend time with others, because you say the relationship is important to you. You may demand access to every part of their life, because you say there should be no secrets between people who love each other. You may feel threatened by their independence, because you fear that freedom will take them away from you. At first, these behaviors may appear to come from love, but underneath them is often fear. The fear says, "If I do not control this connection, I may lose it." The fear says, "If they have freedom, they may choose a life without me." The fear says, "If I do not know everything, I cannot protect myself." The fear says, "If they change, I will be abandoned." Control is often fear trying to create certainty. But love cannot survive for long inside a prison. The more tightly you hold another person, the more the relationship loses its honesty. They may remain physically present while becoming emotionally distant. They may agree with you simply to avoid conflict. They may hide parts of themselves because they no longer feel safe being truthful. You may believe that you are protecting the relationship while your control is slowly damaging it. Ownership does not create loyalty. It may create obedience, fear, guilt, or secrecy. Real loyalty is freely chosen. This is why love requires both closeness and freedom. Freedom does not mean accepting betrayal. It does not mean allowing someone to disrespect you. It does not mean staying in a relationship where there are no boundaries. Freedom means understanding that another person's soul does not belong to you. They are responsible for their choices. You are responsible for deciding what you will accept. There is a major difference between setting a boundary and demanding control. A boundary says, "I will not remain in a relationship where I am repeatedly lied to." Control says, "You are not allowed to speak to anyone I feel threatened by." A boundary says, "I need consistency and honest communication." Control says, "You must reply whenever I demand your attention." A boundary says, "If our values and goals are completely different, I may need to walk away." Control says, "You must become the person I need you to be." A boundary protects your dignity. Control tries to manage another person's freedom. Many people confuse these two things because they are afraid to lose the relationship. They think that if they stop controlling, the person will leave. But if someone remains only because you have pressured, monitored, frightened, or emotionally trapped them, you do not have love. You have forced proximity. Love becomes painful when you try to hold together what is no longer choosing to remain together. You may continue calling, explaining, convincing, and proving yourself. You may believe that one more conversation will make them understand. You may keep reminding them of the memories you shared. You may ask, how can you walk away after everything we experienced? Behind this question is often a hidden belief. What we shared means you no longer have the right to leave. But people always have the ability to choose. Their choice may be cruel. It may be selfish. It may be unfair. It may reveal that their words were not as sincere as you believed. Still, you cannot force their heart to remain where it no longer chooses to stay. You can hold them responsible for dishonesty. You can refuse to accept disrespect. You can protect yourself from manipulation, but you cannot create real love by demanding it. This is one of the hardest forms of surrender. You must allow reality to be what it is, not what you desperately want it to become. Sometimes, you are not suffering only because a person has changed. You are suffering because you refuse to release the image you created of them. You may be attached to who they were in the beginning. You remember their first promises. You remember the attention, warmth, and effort they once gave. You continue loving that version of them, even when their present behavior shows you something completely different. You say, this is not the real them. But perhaps the person you see now is also part of who they are. The early version may have been sincere at the time, but feelings can change. Character may be revealed slowly. Some people behave differently once they feel secure. Others make promises while emotionally excited and later discover that they cannot fulfill them. The mind struggles to accept this. It says, they used to love me. They used to make an effort. They used to talk about our future. All of that may be true. But relationships exist in the present, not only in memory. You cannot build a healthy future with the person someone used to be. When you cling to the past, you may spend years trying to return the relationship to its beginning. You may tolerate neglect because you remember tenderness. You may accept silence because you remember long conversations. You may ignore repeated disappointment because you remember promises. You are no longer relating to reality. You are relating to memory. This is another form of ownership. You are demanding that the person return to the version you prefer. You are saying, you must remain who you were when I first loved you. But people are not fixed objects. They change. Sometimes they grow in beautiful ways. Sometimes they become distant, selfish, confused, or emotionally unavailable. Love does not require you to accept every change. But wisdom requires you to see the change clearly. You must stop asking whether the connection once felt beautiful and start asking what it is doing to your life now. Does this relationship bring honesty or constant confusion? Does it allow both people to grow, or does one person keep shrinking to maintain peace? Are you loved consistently, or are you surviving on occasional attention? Are you holding on to the real person, or to the future you hoped they would create with you? These questions may reveal that much of your suffering comes from attachment to an imagined outcome. You may have already built a life with them inside your mind. You imagined where you would live. You imagined the conversations you would have. You imagined marriage, family, companionship, healing, and growing old together. The imagined future became emotionally real to you. Then the relationship ended, and it felt as though an entire life had been taken away. You did not only lose a person, you lost a future that never fully existed outside your imagination. This grief is real. You should not mock yourself for feeling it. The mind can become deeply attached to possibility, but healing requires you to separate possibility from reality. You must say, this is what I hoped would happen, but it is not what happened. This is who I imagined they could become, but it is not who they have chosen to be. This is the relationship I wanted, but it is not the relationship we actually created. Truth can feel harsh, but illusion creates longer suffering. From a spiritual understanding connected with Ibn Arabi, every created form is limited. A person may reflect beauty, love, compassion, or divine mercy, but they remain human. They cannot become the final answer to your longing. The ego often tries to capture beauty and say, This belongs to me. It sees something precious and wants to secure it permanently. But spiritual love asks you to witness beauty without imagining that you own its source. You may love the reflection, but you must remember that the reflection is not yours to control. Imagine seeing the moon reflected on the surface of water. The image is beautiful. You may want to touch it. You may reach into the water and try to hold it in your hands. But the moment you disturb the water, the reflection breaks. The moon was never inside your hands. It could be witnessed, but not possessed. Human love often carries the same lesson. The more desperately you try to possess the experience, the more suffering you create. You cannot hold a human heart the way you hold an object. You can only invite it. You can love it. You can build trust with it. You can offer commitment and ask for commitment in return. But the other person must choose freely. This does not mean you should become passive. Some people misuse the language of surrender to avoid asking for what they need. They say, "I must love without expectations," while remaining in relationships where they receive no respect. They say, "I should not be attached," while allowing another person to use them. They say, "I must accept Allah's will," while refusing to set necessary boundaries. This is not spiritual maturity. It is self-abandonment disguised as spirituality. Healthy love still requires standards. You have the right to ask for honesty. You have the right to expect mutual effort. You have the right to leave a relationship that repeatedly harms you. You have the right to say, "I love you, but this connection is destroying my peace." Releasing ownership does not mean losing dignity. It means you stop trying to force what must be freely given. You cannot force someone to value you. You cannot argue someone into emotional maturity. You cannot sacrifice enough to make an unwilling person become loyal. You cannot love someone so perfectly that they lose the ability to hurt you. People choose according to the state of their own hearts. Their choices may affect you, but they are not always reflections of your value. When you understand this, you begin to release the exhausting need to control every outcome. You can communicate clearly. You can express your needs. You can offer love honestly. Then you watch what the other person chooses. Their actions become information. If they repeatedly avoid commitment, believe the pattern. If they offer words without action, notice the difference. If they only return when they feel lonely, do not confuse access with love. If they keep you uncertain while expecting your loyalty, do not call confusion destiny. Love should not require you to abandon reality. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop trying to rescue the relationship. You may have done everything within your responsibility. You may have explained your pain. You may have offered patience. You may have forgiven mistakes. You may have given the relationship time to change. If the same harm continues, releasing the person may be more truthful than holding on. Letting go does not always mean that love has disappeared. Sometimes you release someone precisely because you can no longer turn love into a battlefield. You stop trying to make them choose what they do not want. You stop forcing yourself to accept what your soul knows is harmful. You stop using suffering as proof that the connection is deep. Pain is not always evidence of love. Sometimes pain is evidence that you are resisting the truth. You may continue holding on because the idea of release feels like failure. You think, if I let them go, then everything I gave was wasted. But time spent in a relationship is not recovered by spending even more time in a relationship that no longer works. Sacrifice does not create obligation. The fact that you gave years to someone does not mean you must give them the rest of your life. The fact that you loved sincerely does not mean the relationship must succeed in the form you wanted. You can honor what you gave without continuing to lose yourself. You can say, "My love was real," even if the relationship could not remain. You can say, "I do not regret caring, but I will no longer use care as a reason to accept harm." You can say, "I release the need to force an ending that life is not giving me." This is not weakness. It takes more strength to accept reality than to continue living inside fantasy. Ownership also appears after a relationship ends. You may believe that because the person once loved you, they should never love anyone else. You may watch their life and feel betrayed when they move forward. You may think, how can they be happy after hurting me? Part of your pain may be understandable. Seeing someone move forward can reopen the wound, but their future does not belong to you. Just as they do not control your path, you do not control theirs. Your healing cannot depend on their regret. You may secretly want them to suffer because you believe their suffering will prove that you mattered. You may want them to return, apologize, and admit that losing you was their greatest mistake. This fantasy gives temporary comfort, but it keeps your peace connected to their choices. Real freedom begins when you stop needing their future to justify your past. Whether they regret losing you or not, you still have to live. Whether they understand your value or not, you still have to rebuild your dignity. Whether they remain alone or love someone else, you still have to return to your own path. Their life is no longer the place where you should search for your worth. You must bring your attention back. Ask yourself, what am I trying to own? Am I trying to own this person's feelings? Am I trying to own the version of them that existed in the past? Am I trying to control how they remember me? Am I trying to force life to produce the future I imagined? Am I calling attachment love because I am afraid to accept the ending? These questions are not meant to shame you. They are meant to uncover the fear beneath your grip. Perhaps you hold tightly because you do not trust that love can come again. Perhaps you believe that this person was your only chance. Perhaps you think releasing them means accepting a life of loneliness. But holding on to someone who no longer meets you with honesty does not protect you from loneliness. It deepens it. There is a special kind of loneliness in being attached to someone who is emotionally absent. You may speak to them every day and still feel unseen. You may share a home and still feel abandoned. You may have the title of a relationship while receiving none of its emotional safety. Possession cannot create connection. You may keep the person near and still lose the love. This is why the spiritual path asks for surrender. Surrender does not mean pretending you do not care. It means admitting that you are not the controller of every human heart. You do what is honest and responsible. You love with sincerity. You communicate with clarity. You protect your dignity. Then you release what is beyond your control. You do not force the outcome. You do not make another person your enemy, simply because they could not fulfill your hope. You do not turn your heart into stone. You place the connection back into the hands of Allah. You say, if this relationship is good, let it grow through honesty and mutual choice. If it is harming both of us, give me the courage to see it. If this person is not meant to remain, do not let my attachment become stronger than my trust in you. This kind of surrender is not easy. The ego wants certainty. It wants to know that the person will stay. It wants promises that cannot be broken. It wants protection from every future loss. But human relationships cannot offer complete certainty. Every act of love contains vulnerability. You cannot love deeply without accepting that change and loss are possible. The answer is not to avoid love. The answer is to love without making another person your possession. Love them as a human being, not as a guarantee. Receive what is beautiful without demanding that it remain unchanged forever. Build commitment where commitment is mutual. Leave where dignity is repeatedly destroyed. Let your heart remain soft, but keep your vision clear. The person you love may indeed be a mirror sent to teach you something. Perhaps the mirror is showing you where love became fear. Perhaps it is showing you how quickly you confuse closeness with control. Perhaps it is revealing that you were not only holding the person, you were holding a dream, an identity, and a future you believed you could not survive without. But you can survive the release of an imagined future. You can grieve it and still continue. You can love someone and accept that they are not yours to own. You can remember what was beautiful without demanding that the past return. You can bless what was meaningful without remaining imprisoned by it. The deepest form of love is not possession. It is clear seeing. It is seeing the person as they truly are, not only as you need them to be. It is seeing yourself honestly, including your fear and attachment. It is seeing when a connection is mutual and when you are carrying it alone. It is knowing when to hold with care and when to open your hands. Sometimes love asks you to stay, repair, forgive, and grow together. Sometimes love asks you to release, step away, and stop forcing what has already ended. Wisdom is knowing the difference. The heart becomes lighter when it stops demanding ownership of what Allah created with a path of its own. You may still feel sadness. You may still wish the story had ended differently, but you no longer argue with reality every day. You no longer chase someone who continues moving away. You no longer reduce your dignity to keep access to a person. You allow love to become a lesson rather than a chain. And when you finally open your hands, you may discover that you were not only releasing them, you were releasing the fear that said your life could not continue without them. You were releasing the belief that one human being controlled your future. You were releasing the need to own what you were only meant to encounter. That is where suffering begins to loosen. Not because love has become smaller, but because your understanding of love has become deeper. 6. The beauty you saw in them was a sign, not a final destination. Sometimes a person enters your life and appears beautiful to you in a way that is difficult to explain. It may not be only physical beauty. Perhaps it is the way they speak, the calmness in their presence, the kindness in their actions, the intelligence in their thoughts, the softness in their voice, the way they listen without making you feel judged. Something about them touches a place inside you that other people never reached. You may feel peace when you are near them. You may feel understood. You may feel as though the noise in your mind becomes quieter. Their presence may awaken hope, tenderness, or a sense of meaning that had been missing from your life. Because the experience is powerful, you may begin to believe that the person is the source of everything you feel. You may think, they are the reason I feel alive. They are the only person who can bring me peace. They are the only one who understands my heart. If I lose them, I will lose everything beautiful in my life. This is where the heart can become confused. The beauty you saw in the person may have been real. The comfort you experienced may have been sincere. The love may have awakened something true. But the person was still a sign. They were not the final destination of your soul. From an Ibn Arabi inspired perspective, the beauty found in creation can become a mirror of divine qualities. When you witness mercy in another person, you are witnessing a small reflection of mercy. When you see tenderness, patience, generosity, courage, or wisdom, you are seeing qualities that point beyond the individual form. The person becomes like a window through which light enters. You may admire the light on the floor. You may feel its warmth. You may sit beside it and experience comfort. But the window did not create the sun. It only allowed the light to pass through. In the same way, the person did not create beauty, love, mercy, or tenderness. They became one place through which those qualities reached you. This understanding is important because human beings naturally become attached to the form through which they receive something meaningful. You experience peace through one person, so you believe peace belongs to them. You experience love through one relationship, so you believe love can never come through another doorway. You experience spiritual awakening in their presence, so you begin treating their presence as the source of your awakening. Then fear appears. You become afraid that if the person leaves, the beauty will leave with them. You become afraid that if their feelings change, everything meaningful will disappear. You become afraid that no other person, experience, or path could ever touch you in the same way. This fear creates attachment. Attachment begins to say, I must keep this person because they carry something I cannot find anywhere else. But no human being owns beauty itself. A person may have a unique way of reflecting it, but the quality did not begin with them. This does not make them replaceable. Every person is unique. Every connection has its own emotional shape. No two people will speak, love, listen, or understand in exactly the same way. You do not need to pretend that everyone is the same, but uniqueness does not mean one person contains the entire supply of love, mercy, peace, or meaning that Allah can bring into your life. That belief is not spiritual depth. It is emotional limitation. You are reducing divine abundance to one human form. Imagine standing beside a clear lake at night. You look into the water and see the moon reflected on its surface. The image may appear so beautiful that you cannot look away. It may seem as though the moon itself is inside the lake. But if the water becomes disturbed, the reflection breaks. You may feel as though the moon has disappeared. Yet when you lift your head, you discover that the moon is still in the sky. The reflection changed. The source remained. Human relationships often carry the same lesson. You may see beauty reflected through someone. Then the relationship changes. The person leaves, becomes distant, or reveals qualities that disturb the image you once held. The reflection breaks. You feel as though beauty itself has been taken from you. But perhaps you have been staring at the water for so long that you forgot to look upward. The person was not the source of everything you loved through them. The source was always greater. The love you felt did not exist only because they were present. Your heart had the capacity to recognize love. The tenderness you experienced was possible because tenderness already had meaning within you. The beauty touched you because something in your own soul was able to recognize it. A dead heart does not respond deeply to beauty. The fact that you were moved reveals something about you as well. You may say, they were extraordinary. Perhaps they were. But your ability to see what was extraordinary also came from the depth of your own perception. Not everyone would have noticed what you noticed. Not everyone would have been touched by the same details. You saw beauty through the eyes of your own heart. This is another reason the person may have felt unforgettable. They became connected not only to who they were, but to your own capacity for wonder, love, hope, and spiritual recognition. You may have seen patience in them because your soul was hungry for patience. You may have seen safety because you had spent years feeling unprotected. You may have seen confidence because you were tired of living in fear. You may have seen freedom because your own life had become controlled by expectations. You may have seen spiritual depth because your soul was ready to search for something beyond the surface of ordinary life. The person appeared at the meeting point between who they were and what your heart was seeking. That meeting can feel almost sacred. But sacred recognition should not become worship. The danger begins when you treat the person as though they alone possess the quality you were searching for. You may begin idealizing them. Idealization means you stop seeing the complete human being. You see only the qualities that attracted you. You see their kindness, but ignore their inconsistency. You see their intelligence, but excuse their arrogance. You see their spiritual words, but overlook the way they treat people. You see their tenderness during certain moments, but ignore their cruelty during others. You take the beautiful parts and build an image that is larger than reality. Then you become attached not only to the person, but to the image you created. This is dangerous because no human being can live permanently inside an idealized image. Sooner or later, they will disappoint you. They will become tired. They will make mistakes. They will reveal selfishness, fear, weakness, confusion, or contradiction. They may fail to become the person you believed they were. When that happens, you may feel deceived. Sometimes the person truly deceived you. Some people intentionally present a false version of themselves to gain love, trust, or access. But sometimes, you were also participating in the illusion. You ignored what did not fit the image. You interpreted ordinary actions as signs of extraordinary destiny. You gave deep meaning to inconsistent attention. You believed their potential was the same as their character. You focused on who they could become instead of observing who they repeatedly chose to be. This is not said to blame you. When the heart longs deeply, it often sees what it hopes to see. But real love requires clear vision. To love someone honestly is to see both their beauty and their limitations. It is to appreciate their qualities without turning them into a perfect being. It is to recognize the divine signs reflected through them while remembering that the mirror remains human. A mirror may reflect light beautifully, but it can also become dusty. It can become cracked. It can distort the image. The reflection may be real without being complete. No human being perfectly reflects every quality you desire. One person may be loving but emotionally immature. Another may be intelligent but unable to communicate with kindness. Someone may appear deeply spiritual but still avoid responsibility. A person may understand your pain while being unable to build a stable relationship with you. Beauty in one area does not erase dysfunction in another. This is why spiritual language must not be used to avoid reality. You should not say, "I see Allah's beauty through them, so I must remain no matter how they treat me." You should not accept manipulation because the connection once felt sacred. You should not ignore dishonesty because the person sometimes speaks with wisdom. You should not call repeated emotional harm a spiritual test that you must endure forever. A sign should guide you toward truth. It should not trap you inside confusion. The beauty you saw may have been genuine, but it does not mean the relationship was healthy. You can appreciate a person's good qualities and still recognize that they are not safe for you. You can admit that the connection awakened your soul while also accepting that it damaged your peace. You can be grateful for what was beautiful without pretending everything was beautiful. This balance protects you from turning admiration into blindness. Many people remain attached because they believe letting go means denying the beauty they once saw. They think, if I walk away, I am saying none of it was real. But leaving an unhealthy situation does not erase what was sincere. You can say, there was beauty here, but beauty alone was not enough to build a life. There was tenderness, but there was not enough stability. There was attraction, but there was not enough honesty. There was deep recognition, but there was not equal commitment. There was spiritual meaning, but there was also emotional harm. These truths can exist together. Life is not always divided into completely good people and completely bad people. A person can carry light and still hurt you. They can have beautiful qualities and still be wrong for your path. They can care about you and still be incapable of loving you in a healthy way. They can awaken something sacred in your heart while remaining unable to walk beside you responsibly. This complexity is difficult because the mind wants simple answers. It wants to decide that the person was either your destiny or your mistake. But perhaps they were neither in the way you imagine. Perhaps they were a sign. A sign does not have to become your permanent home. A road sign may help you understand where you are going, but you do not stop your journey and build your life beneath it. The sign points beyond itself. In the same way, the beauty you saw through someone may point toward a quality your soul needs to develop, seek, or understand more deeply. If you admired their peace, perhaps the deeper invitation is to build peace within your own life. If you admired their courage, perhaps you are being called to stop living from fear. If their kindness touched you, perhaps you are being shown the kind of kindness you should offer to yourself and others. If their spiritual depth awakened you, perhaps the real invitation is to deepen your own relationship with Allah. If they made you feel worthy, perhaps you are being asked to stop treating worth as something another person must grant you. The sign points toward growth, but attachment stops at the sign and says, I need this specific person, or I cannot receive the meaning. That is where suffering begins. You may spend years chasing someone because you are really chasing the feeling you experienced through them. You think you want the person back, but perhaps you want the peace, hope, safety, or aliveness you felt when they were near. This distinction matters. Ask yourself honestly, what did their presence make me feel? Did you feel chosen? Did you feel important? Did you feel beautiful? Did you feel free? Did you feel spiritually alive? Did you feel protected? Did you feel understood? Then ask, why did I believe this feeling could exist only through them? Perhaps you have never learned to create an inner life where these qualities can grow. Perhaps your life before them felt empty, repetitive, or disconnected. When they entered, they became the only bright point in your world. Then losing them felt like returning to darkness. But the answer is not always to recover the person. Sometimes the answer is to stop building a life with only one source of emotional light. You need a wider inner world. You need faith that does not depend on a relationship. You need purpose that continues when someone leaves. You need friendships, responsibilities, creativity, service, prayer, reflection, and self-respect. You need a life with more than one doorway through which meaning can enter. This does not make your love weaker. It makes your life more stable. When one human being becomes your only source of joy, the relationship carries too much pressure. You expect them to be your partner, healer, closest friend, spiritual guide, emotional protector, source of confidence, and reason for living. No person can perform all of these roles perfectly. Eventually, they will fail. Then you may accuse them of changing when you had placed impossible expectations upon them. Healthy love does not require another person to become your entire world. It allows them to be an important part of your world without becoming its only center. From an Ibn Arabi inspired understanding, the heart must learn to move from the form toward the meaning. This does not mean rejecting the form. It means seeing the form correctly. You can appreciate a beautiful face, a kind soul, or a loving relationship, but you do not stop there. You ask what the beauty is pointing toward. Perhaps the tenderness you received reminds you of divine mercy. Perhaps the safety you felt reminds you that your soul longs for trust. Perhaps the grief you experience when beauty changes reminds you that created forms are temporary. Everything in the created world changes. Faces age, bodies weaken, feelings move, circumstances shift, relationships transform. Even the people who remain beside you for a lifetime will eventually be separated from you by death. This truth is not meant to make love meaningless. It is meant to make love more conscious. When you understand that the form is temporary, you appreciate it without imagining that it can give you permanent security. You become grateful for the moment instead of demanding ownership of forever. You love without forgetting Allah. You enjoy the reflection without mistaking it for the source. Many people remember Allah only after the person leaves. While the relationship is present, all their attention goes toward the beloved. They wake thinking about the person. They sleep thinking about them. Their prayers become requests to secure the relationship. Their peace depends on receiving signs that the person still cares. Then the relationship ends, and they finally turn toward Allah. But even then, they may approach Allah only as a way to recover the person. They pray, bring them back. They become more religious because they hope devotion will produce the outcome they want. There is nothing wrong with asking Allah for something you deeply desire, but you must examine whether you are seeking Allah or using Allah to reach the person. Are you turning toward the source, or are you only asking the source to return the reflection? This question can be uncomfortable. You may discover that the person became the real center of your worship. Allah became the means. The person became the goal. Spiritual transformation begins when this order changes. You start saying, Allah, I still love this person, but I do not want my attachment to become greater than my relationship with you. If this connection is good for my soul, guide it with truth. If it is not, help me release it without losing faith. Do not let one created form convince me that your mercy has ended. This is not a request to become emotionless. It is a request to see clearly. You may continue loving the person, you may continue missing them, but you no longer treat their return as the only possible form of mercy. Perhaps mercy will come through their return in a healthier form. Perhaps mercy will come through permanent separation. Perhaps mercy will come through a new relationship. Perhaps mercy will come through solitude, growth, and a stronger relationship with Allah. You do not know which doorway will open, but you stop insisting that mercy must enter through the one doorway that has already closed. This is where trust begins. Trust means accepting that Allah's generosity is not limited to one person. You may feel that no one will ever understand you the same way. Perhaps no one will understand you in exactly the same way. But someone may understand you differently and more responsibly. You may believe no relationship will ever carry the same intensity. Perhaps that is true. But intensity is not always what your heart needs. You may need consistency. You may need calmness. You may need a relationship in which you are not constantly afraid. You may need love that does not make you question your worth every day. Do not worship intensity simply because it feels powerful. A storm is intense. A peaceful river may carry you much farther. Sometimes, the person you cannot forget made you feel alive because the relationship was uncertain. Their attention came and went. Their closeness was followed by distance. You never knew where you stood. This unpredictability made every moment of affection feel more valuable. You may have mistaken emotional instability for spiritual depth. You may have interpreted anxiety as strong love. You may have believed that because the connection consumed your thoughts, it must have been extraordinary. But obsession is not always evidence of sacred recognition. Sometimes, it is the nervous system reacting to inconsistency. Sometimes, you cannot forget a person because your mind is still trying to solve the uncertainty they created. You keep returning to the memory because there was no clear ending. You continue imagining their potential because reality never fulfilled the promise. This is why clear seeing is necessary. The beauty you saw may have been real, but your attachment may have exaggerated it. You must separate what was truly there from what hope added. What did the person consistently show you? Not only during the best moments, not only when they feared losing you, not only when they wanted your attention. Who were they through ordinary days, pressure, disagreement, and responsibility? Did their actions support the image you held? Did they practice the qualities you admired? Did their kindness continue when they were angry? Did their spiritual language produce humility? Did their love become responsibility, or remain only emotion? A sign of beauty should lead toward greater truth. If the relationship constantly required you to deny reality, then something was distorted. Real spiritual insight does not ask you to become blind. It makes your vision sharper. It allows you to appreciate what was beautiful while refusing to worship it. Perhaps you saw divine mercy reflected in the person. Then carry the lesson forward. Become more merciful. Perhaps you saw courage. Then stop hiding from your own life. Perhaps you saw wisdom. Then seek wisdom through learning, reflection, and prayer. Perhaps you saw love. Then allow that experience to increase your capacity to love without attachment. The purpose of a sign is not only to make you admire it, it is to change the direction of your attention. A beautiful person may awaken you, but they cannot complete your spiritual journey for you. They cannot pray on your behalf. They cannot heal every wound. They cannot give your life ultimate meaning. They cannot protect you from death, loss, uncertainty, or the consequences of your own choices. They remain a servant of Allah, limited like you. They may be walking beside you, but they are not the road itself. This is where the heart must become humble. You may have said, "They are everything," but no person is everything. You may have said, "Without them, I have nothing." But as long as you have life, consciousness, the ability to turn toward Allah, and the possibility of growth, you do not have nothing. You have lost a form, The loss may be painful and important, but the meaning behind the form has not disappeared. You must learn to separate grief from spiritual hopelessness. Grief says, "I miss this person." Hopelessness says, "Nothing beautiful will ever reach me again." Grief is human. Hopelessness makes a claim about the entire future that you cannot know. You can honor grief without believing its predictions. When grief tells you that no one will ever make you feel safe again, answer, "I do not know what Allah will bring." When it says that this was your only chance for love, answer, "That is fear speaking, not knowledge." When it says that beauty ended when this person left, remember that the beauty you witnessed came from a source that has not ended. The mirror may no longer be in front of you, but the light remains. This does not mean you will immediately feel better. Spiritual understanding does not erase emotional pain in one moment. You may understand all of this and still wake up missing them. You may still remember their voice. You may still compare new people to them. You may still feel a sudden ache when something reminds you of the relationship. Healing is not a straight line, but each time the memory returns, you can meet it differently. Instead of saying, "I lost the only beautiful thing in my life," say, "I was allowed to witness beauty through this person." Instead of saying, "They took love away from me," say, "They revealed how deeply I am capable of loving." Instead of saying, "I need the reflection back," say, "Let this reflection lead me toward the source." This change may appear small, but it transforms the direction of the heart. You stop begging the past to become your future. You begin receiving the lesson. You realize that the person did not only enter your life to be admired, they entered your awareness as a sign. Perhaps the sign showed you what your heart values. Perhaps it showed you the kind of love you desire. Perhaps it exposed your habit of idealizing people. Perhaps it revealed how easily you forget Allah when creation gives you comfort. Perhaps it taught you that beauty is temporary in form but endless in source. The relationship may have ended, but the sign can still guide you. You do not need to erase the person. You do not need to turn love into hatred in order to become free. Hatred can bind you as strongly as longing. You can remember them with gratitude while no longer building your identity around them. You can say, "I saw something beautiful through you, and I will not deny it. But I also understand that you were not the owner of all beauty. You were one mirror. You were one doorway. You were one expression of qualities that come from beyond both of us." This understanding allows you to love more cleanly. You stop demanding that one person carry the weight of eternity. You stop asking a temporary form to give permanent security. You stop becoming angry with human beings for being human. You begin seeing people as companions, signs, teachers, mirrors, and trusts. Some remain for many years. Some remain for only a season. Some reflect beauty clearly. Others reflect your wounds. But none of them can replace Allah. The person you loved may have shown you mercy, but Allah is not limited to their mercy. They may have offered comfort, but Allah can send comfort through countless forms. They may have awakened your heart, but Allah can continue guiding that heart after they are gone. Do not confuse the loss of one reflection with the loss of the light itself. This is the lesson. The beauty you saw was not meaningless. It was not something you must deny. It may have been one of the most important experiences of your life, but it was pointing beyond the person. It was pointing toward the depth of your own heart. It was pointing toward qualities you need to recognize and develop. It was pointing toward the temporary nature of every created form. Most of all, it was pointing toward Allah, the source from which every true quality receives its meaning. The person may have been a beautiful chapter, but no chapter is the whole book. They may have been a window, but no window is the entire sky. They may have been a mirror, but no mirror owns the light it reflects. When you understand this, you do not have to stop loving what was beautiful. You simply stop making it your final destination. You lift your eyes beyond the reflection, and you remember that the source of everything your heart recognized has not abandoned you. 7. The final purpose of the mirror is to turn you back toward Allah. A person may enter your life and change the way you see everything. Before meeting them, you may have moved through life without examining your heart deeply. You may have followed routines, completed responsibilities, and believed that you understood yourself. Then this person appeared. Through them, emotions you had never fully faced came to the surface. You discovered how deeply you could love. You discovered how strongly you feared rejection. You saw your tenderness, your insecurity, your hope, your jealousy, your patience, and your need to be chosen. Their presence became a mirror. The mirror showed you parts of yourself that ordinary life had kept hidden. Perhaps it showed you your capacity for love. Perhaps it showed you your fear of being abandoned. Perhaps it revealed how quickly you build your identity around another person. Perhaps it showed you the loneliness you had been avoiding. Perhaps it awakened a spiritual hunger that had been buried beneath daily distractions. This is why some people become unforgettable. You may believe that you cannot forget them because they were the only person meant for you. But perhaps you cannot forget them because the meeting revealed something important about your soul. Their face became connected to an awakening. Their voice became connected to a new emotional world. Their presence became connected to the moment you began seeing yourself differently. Yet the final purpose of a mirror is not to make you stare at the mirror forever. The purpose of a mirror is to help you see. Once you have seen, you must decide what to do with the truth. You can spend years chasing the person who reflected your heart back to you. Or you can begin understanding the heart that was revealed. You can continue asking, how can I make them return? Or you can ask, what did Allah allow this relationship to show me? The first question keeps your attention fixed on the person. The second question begins turning your attention toward meaning. This does not mean that the person did not matter. It does not mean that you should deny your love, erase your memories, or pretend that the connection was ordinary. Some relationships matter deeply. Some people change the direction of your life. Some losses leave marks that never disappear completely. But a mark does not have to remain a wound. A memory does not have to remain a prison. A person can remain important without remaining the center of your emotional world. From an Ibn Arabi-inspired spiritual perspective, created things can become signs through which deeper realities are revealed. A person may show you beauty, but beauty points beyond them. They may show you mercy, but mercy is not limited to them. They may awaken love, but your capacity to love did not begin with their arrival. They may expose your wounds, but your healing does not have to depend on their return. The encounter becomes spiritually meaningful when it leads you beyond the form toward the truth hidden within it. The form is the person. The truth may be what the person awakened. Perhaps you thought the lesson was about winning their love. Perhaps the deeper lesson was learning where you had abandoned yourself. Perhaps you thought the goal was to keep the relationship forever. Perhaps the deeper goal was to reveal what your heart had made into an idol. Perhaps you thought Allah sent this person to complete you. Perhaps Allah allowed the meeting to show you that no created person can carry the full weight of your soul. This can be difficult to accept because the heart wants a simple story. It wants to believe that meeting someone meaningful must lead to permanent union. It wants every deep feeling to become a clear future. It wants the person who opened the heart to remain responsible for keeping it open. But spiritual growth often begins when the story does not unfold the way the ego expected. The person leaves. The relationship changes. The future you imagined disappears. You are left with questions, memories, and an emptiness that feels unbearable. At first, you may believe that the only solution is their return. You may pray for them constantly. You may ask Allah to change their heart. You may search for signs that the relationship will be restored. You may interpret dreams, coincidences, and ordinary events as proof that they are still meant for you. Your prayers may become focused entirely on one outcome. You say, Allah, give me this person. There is nothing wrong with asking Allah for someone you love. You are allowed to express your desire. You are allowed to hope for reconciliation, if the relationship can become healthy and lawful. But you must also examine what is happening inside your prayer. Are you truly surrendering to Allah, or are you asking Allah to surrender to your plan? You may say, I trust Allah, while secretly believing that trust must produce the outcome you want. You may say, Allah knows what is best, but reject every possibility except the person's return. You may ask for guidance, while refusing to accept any answer that contradicts your desire. This is not full surrender. It is attachment using spiritual language. Real surrender says, Allah, you know how deeply I want this. You know what this person means to me. You know the pain I carry, but you also know what I cannot see. If this relationship is good for my faith, dignity, peace, and future, open it in a truthful way. If it is not good for me, remove my dependence on it, even if my heart resists. This prayer is harder because it does not try to control the answer. It places the desire before Allah without turning the desire into a command. Many people pray for a person, but do not pray for truth. They want the relationship, even if the relationship keeps them anxious. They want the person, even if the person repeatedly disrespects them. They want the imagined future, even if reality shows that the two lives do not fit together. They do not ask, is this good? They ask only, how can I keep it? But the purpose of spiritual guidance is not to protect every attachment. It is to bring the heart closer to truth. Sometimes truth means that two people should remain together and grow. Sometimes truth means that the relationship must end. Sometimes the person returns after both people have changed. Sometimes the door remains closed, because returning would repeat the same harm. You cannot decide that every closed door is a punishment. Some closed doors are protection. Some delays are redirection. Some losses are exposing where your heart has become dependent on creation. The person you cannot forget may have become the place where your spiritual struggle is most visible. You may believe that you are struggling only with heartbreak, but perhaps you are also struggling with trust. Do you trust Allah only when life follows your plan? Do you believe Allah is merciful only when the person you love stays? Do you measure divine care by whether your emotional desires are fulfilled? These questions are uncomfortable, but they matter. Faith is easy when everything you want remains in your hands. Trust becomes real when something precious is removed, and you must decide whether Allah is still worthy of your devotion. This does not mean you should hide your sadness. You do not prove faith by pretending that loss does not hurt. The heart can grieve and still trust. You can cry and still worship. You can miss someone and still accept that Allah sees more than you do. You can say, I do not understand this loss, without saying, this loss proves Allah has abandoned me. These are different statements. The first is honest pain. The second is despair, making a judgment it cannot prove. The spiritual path does not demand that you become emotionless. It asks that your emotions do not become your only source of truth. You may feel that you cannot live without the person, but feeling something strongly does not make it permanently true. You may feel that they were your only chance at love, but you do not know the future. You may feel that life has become empty, but emptiness can change. Your emotional state is real, but it is not always a complete description of reality. This is why turning toward Allah matters. When you are overwhelmed by attachment, your mind becomes narrow. It sees only one person, one future, and one possible form of happiness. Every other path looks meaningless. Turning toward Allah slowly widens your vision. You begin to remember that your life existed before this person. You remember that your soul has responsibilities beyond one relationship. You remember that love is part of life, but it is not the whole purpose of life. You remember that Allah can guide you through forms you have not yet imagined. This does not immediately remove the pain. Spiritual insight is not a magic sentence that ends grief. You may understand the lesson and still miss the person. You may surrender today and feel attached again tomorrow. You may experience peace during prayer and then feel the wound return at night. This does not mean you are failing. The heart often releases slowly. You have repeated certain thoughts thousands of times. You have imagined a future with this person. You have connected ordinary places, songs, routines, and hopes to their memory. Those connections will not disappear in one moment. But each time the memory returns, you can choose where it leads you. The memory can lead you back into fantasy, or it can lead you into reflection. You can ask, why did they leave me? Or you can also ask, what am I being invited to understand? You can ask, why was I not enough for them? Or you can ask, why did I allow their choice to become the measure of my worth? You can ask, how can I replace them? Or you can ask, how can I become more rooted so that love does not require me to abandon myself? The questions you ask shape the path you follow. If every question is about the person, your life remains emotionally organized around them. If the questions begin turning toward your own heart and toward Allah, healing becomes possible. The person may have shown you that you were capable of deep love. Then take that capacity seriously. Do not waste it by turning love into obsession. Use it to become more compassionate. Use it to become more patient. Use it to serve, create, forgive, and live with greater sincerity. The person may have revealed your fear of abandonment. Then do not simply search for someone new to cover the fear. Bring the fear into awareness. Ask where it began. Notice how it controls your relationships. Learn to stay connected to your dignity, even when another person becomes distant. The person may have shown you that you crave emotional closeness. Then do not shame yourself for that need, but learn the difference between closeness and dependence. Seek relationships where intimacy is mutual, honest, and stable. Do not accept confusion simply because loneliness frightens you. The person may have awakened your spiritual hunger. Then follow that hunger beyond them. Do not make them the destination of an awakening that was meant to lead you toward Allah. Perhaps before meeting them, your prayers were empty. Then love opened your heart. You began asking deeper questions. You became aware of beauty, longing, and the temporary nature of life. You felt the weakness of your own control. All of this can become part of a spiritual awakening, but only if you continue walking. If you stop at the person, the awakening becomes attachment. You spend your life worshiping the doorway instead of entering through it. A doorway is valuable because it allows movement. You do not stand before it forever, praising the door while refusing to cross the threshold. The person may have opened a door within you. Now you must decide whether to walk through it. Walking through the door may mean learning to pray with honesty, not only asking for outcomes, but speaking truthfully about your heart. You might say, Allah, I am attached. I am afraid of losing this memory. I still want their attention. I am angry that my future did not unfold as I imagined. I feel rejected, confused, and ashamed of how much this affects me. These are honest prayers. Allah does not need a polished performance. You do not become closer to Allah by hiding your true state. You become closer through sincerity. The spiritual path begins where pretending ends. Perhaps you have been trying to appear strong. You tell everyone that you have moved on. You act as though the person means nothing. You avoid speaking about the loss because you fear looking weak. But inside, you are still waiting. You still check their life. You still imagine conversations. You still hope they will recognize your value. There is no freedom in pretending. You must tell the truth, at least before Allah. Say what you still desire. Say what you fear. Say what you resent. Then ask for a heart that is able to accept truth. You may not receive the answer you want immediately. But the purpose of prayer is not only to change circumstances. Prayer also changes the one who is praying. At first, You may pray only for the person to return. Later, you may begin praying for clarity. Then you may pray for dignity. Eventually, you may pray for freedom from attachment. This change in prayer shows that the heart is turning. The external situation may not have changed, but your relationship with it begins to change. You stop seeing the person as the only possible answer. You begin seeing the experience as part of a larger journey. This is the final work of the mirror. The mirror reveals where the heart has become lost in creation. Then it invites the heart to return to its proper center. This return does not mean that you stop loving people. It means that your love becomes more balanced. You no longer ask another person to become your source of identity. You no longer expect them to remove every fear. You no longer confuse their approval with your worth before Allah. You love them as a creation of Allah, not as a replacement for Allah. This distinction changes the quality of love. When you love another person as though they are your source, fear controls the relationship. You are always afraid of losing access. You monitor every change. You become jealous, anxious, and controlling. You may ignore truth because truth threatens the attachment. But when Allah becomes the center, love becomes cleaner. You can value the person without worshiping them. You can commit without losing your identity. You can grieve without believing your life has ended. You can release someone without turning them into an enemy. You can say, I loved you, but I will not lose my relationship with Allah in order to keep you. You can say you mattered, but you were never meant to carry the entire meaning of my existence. You can say, I am grateful for what was revealed through you, but I will not remain trapped in what has ended. This is not emotional coldness, it is spiritual order. The heart suffers when it asks a limited person to provide unlimited security. No human being can promise that they will never change. No person can protect you from every form of loneliness. No relationship can remove death, uncertainty, or the pain of being human. Even the most loyal person has limits. They become tired, they misunderstand, they make mistakes. They may become sick or die. If your entire foundation rests on their permanent presence, life will eventually shake that foundation. This is not because love is wrong. It is because created things cannot become eternal foundations. Allah alone does not pass away. Allah alone is not weakened by time. Allah alone fully knows the parts of you that no person can understand. Allah sees the thoughts you cannot explain. Allah knows the wounds you hide. Allah knows why this connection affected you so deeply. Allah knows whether the person's return would heal you or repeat the harm. You see one chapter. Allah knows the whole path. This is what trust asks you to remember. Trust does not mean believing that every event will feel good. Some events will hurt. Some prayers will not be answered in the form you requested. Some people you love will choose to leave. Some relationships will end without the closure you wanted. Trust means believing that your spiritual life does not depend on controlling every outcome. It means remaining connected to Allah even when the meaning is not yet clear. You may understand the lesson only years later. At the moment of loss, everything may feel senseless. But time can reveal what attachment concealed. You may later see that the relationship kept you anxious and small. You may realize that you were in love with potential rather than reality. You may discover that the loss forced you to develop strength you had always avoided. You may meet people who show you that love can feel calm rather than confusing. You may build a life that would never have existed if the old relationship had remained. This does not mean every loss will later appear easy or desirable. Some losses remain painful, but pain and meaning can exist together. You may never be grateful that someone hurt you, yet you may become grateful for the clarity that followed. You may never approve of the way they left, yet you may value the person you became after you stopped waiting for their return. This is the difference between excusing the wound and receiving the lesson. You do not need to call harmful behavior good. You only refuse to let the harm become meaningless. The mirror may show you where you tolerated less than you deserved. Then the lesson is to stop abandoning your dignity. It may show you that you were searching for Allah's permanence in a human relationship. Then the lesson is to rebuild your spiritual foundation. It may reveal that you loved an image more than reality. Then the lesson is to see people clearly. It may show you your ability to love deeply. Then the lesson is to protect that ability without allowing it to become self-destruction. Every revelation creates responsibility. Once you know the pattern, you cannot honestly pretend that you do not see it. You may still repeat it. Growth is rarely perfect, but you now have a choice that you did not have before awareness. You can notice when you begin making another person the keeper of your worth. You can step back when affection becomes obsession. You can question the belief that one person is your only chance for happiness. You can return to Allah before the relationship becomes your entire identity. This is how the mirror continues teaching you even after the person is gone. The memory becomes a warning and a guide. It reminds you of your capacity for love. It also reminds you of your tendency to lose yourself. It shows you what was beautiful. It also shows you what must be healed. Over time, the person may remain in your heart differently. At first, their memory may carry desperate longing. Later, it may carry sadness. Eventually, it may carry gratitude and understanding. You may still remember them, but the memory no longer controls your day. You no longer need them to return. You no longer search for hidden messages in every coincidence. You no longer imagine that your peace depends on whether they regret leaving. The memory becomes quieter because you have received what it was trying to reveal. You understand that forgetting is not always the goal. The goal is freedom. You may never erase the memory completely. Why should you? The person was part of your life. The experience taught you something. Trying to force yourself to forget can create another form of attachment because you remain constantly measuring whether the memory is gone. Freedom means that you can remember without returning emotionally to the same prison. You can see their name without losing your sense of self. You can hear about their life without feeling that yours has stopped. You can wish them well without needing access to them. You can accept that they may never understand what the connection meant to you. Your truth does not require their agreement. This is a difficult stage of healing because the ego wants recognition. You want the person to know how deeply you loved. You want them to realize what they lost. You want them to admit that you mattered. But sometimes they never will. They may remember the relationship differently. They may continue without looking back. They may remain emotionally unable to recognize your pain. If your healing depends on their understanding, you remain trapped. Turn the need for recognition toward Allah. Allah knows what you gave. Allah knows where you were sincere. Allah also knows where you were attached, where you ignored warnings, and where you abandoned yourself. Divine knowledge is complete. You do not need to prove the entire story to another human being. This does not mean accountability is unnecessary. When possible, honest conversations matter. Apologies matter. Repair matters. But your life cannot remain frozen if those things never happen. You can move forward without receiving every answer. You can release a person without solving every mystery. You can accept that some chapters end with uncertainty. The heart often believes that complete understanding must come before peace. But sometimes, peace comes when you stop demanding complete understanding. You say, "I do not know why they changed. I do not know whether they ever loved me as deeply as I loved them. I do not know what might have happened under different circumstances. But I know what the relationship became. I know what it revealed in me. I know what I must do now." This is enough to begin walking. The person you cannot forget may have been a divine mirror, but this does not mean they were divine. It does not mean every action they took was guided. It does not mean the relationship was guaranteed by destiny in the form you wanted. It means Allah may use even an imperfect person and an unfinished connection to reveal truth. The mirror itself may be cracked, yet it can still show you something. Perhaps it showed you that your heart had become dependent. Perhaps it revealed that your need for love was connected to an older wound. Perhaps it showed you qualities within yourself that you had forgotten. Perhaps it taught you that intensity does not guarantee permanence. Perhaps it revealed that beauty is a sign rather than a final destination. All 7 lessons return to one point. The person was not sent merely so that you could possess them. The meeting may have been allowed so that you could see the state of your heart. See the difference between love and worship. See the difference between connection and dependence. See the difference between spiritual recognition and emotional fantasy. See what must be healed. See what must be reclaimed. See what must be surrendered. Then turn back toward Allah with clearer vision. Do not turn back as someone who has never loved. Turn back with the knowledge love gave you. Do not turn back by denying the person. Turn back by placing them in their proper position. They were important. They were not ultimate. They were meaningful. They were not the source of meaning itself. They awakened your heart. They did not create your soul. This understanding allows you to carry the connection without being crushed by it. You can say, Allah allowed me to love, and through love, I discovered my heart. Through attachment, I discovered where my heart had become weak. Through loss, I discovered what I had made too important. Through pain, I discovered wounds that needed attention. Through surrender, I discovered that life could continue. This is how heartbreak becomes knowledge. This is how longing becomes prayer. This is how loss becomes a path rather than a wall. One day, you may realize that the person you thought you needed forever was part of a journey that led you towards something deeper. Not because their departure was easy, not because the relationship did not matter, but because you finally stopped asking the mirror to become your home. You allowed it to show you the truth. Then you continued walking. Perhaps this is why the person remains in your memory. Not so that you will wait forever. Not so that you will compare every new person to them. Not so that you will spend your life trying to recreate the past. Perhaps the memory remains as a reminder of the moment your heart was unveiled. Before them, you did not know how deeply you could feel. Through them, you saw your longing. After them, you were invited to discover where that longing truly belongs. Every human love contains a question. Will this love bring you closer to truth, or will it make you forget the source? Will it make you more honest, or more willing to live inside illusion? Will it deepen your relationship with Allah, or will it replace that relationship? The answer depends not only on whether the person stays, it depends on what you do with what the love has revealed. You can remain attached to the reflection, or you can follow the light. You can spend your life asking why this one person could not become everything, or you can recognize that no person was ever meant to become everything. The final purpose of the mirror is not heartbreak. The final purpose is recognition. You recognize the condition of your heart. You recognize your need for healing. You recognize the limits of created love. You recognize the signs of beauty, mercy, and longing that point beyond themselves. And finally, you recognize that the soul was never searching only for another person. Beneath its human desire, the soul was searching for safety that does not disappear, love that is not limited, and nearness that does not depend on changing circumstances. It was searching for Allah. The person may have awakened that search. Their absence may have made it impossible to ignore. But now the path belongs to you. Do not remain standing before the mirror. Take the truth it gave you. Carry the love without worshiping the memory. Carry the lesson without carrying the chain. Carry the gratitude without demanding that the past return. Then, turn your heart toward Allah. Because the person may have helped you see, but Allah is the one toward whom every true seeing must finally lead. The person you cannot forget may never return in the form you once hoped for. They may remain only as a memory, a question, or a quiet ache that visits you from time to time. But their absence does not mean the connection had no meaning. It may mean its meaning was different from what you first believed. Perhaps they were not sent to complete your life. Perhaps they were sent to uncover it. Through them, you saw what your heart desired. You saw what it feared. You saw where love had become dependence, where hope had become illusion, and where another person's attention had begun controlling your sense of worth. You also saw your capacity for tenderness. You saw how deeply you could care. You saw parts of yourself that had been hidden beneath fear, routine, and emotional distance. This is why the connection mattered. But what mattered was not only the person. What mattered was what became visible through them. A mirror is valuable because it reveals. It shows you what you could not see alone. But once the truth has appeared, you are not meant to spend your whole life standing in front of the mirror. You are meant to carry the understanding forward. Do not reduce your entire life to the question of whether they will return. Do not wait for their regret before allowing yourself to heal. Do not make their memory the final home of your heart. You can love what was real without remaining trapped by what ended. You can remember without waiting. You can grieve without losing faith. You can accept that someone was deeply important while also accepting that they were not meant to remain the center of your life forever. Perhaps they were the person who awakened you. Perhaps they showed you your wounds. Perhaps they revealed what you had been worshiping without realizing it. Perhaps they opened a door that only pain could make you willing to enter. But now, you must walk through that door. You must learn how to love without abandoning yourself. You must learn how to see beauty without trying to possess it. You must learn how to receive human love without asking it to become divine. And you must remember that no created person can carry the full weight of your soul. The person may have reflected light, but they were not the source of the light. They may have awakened love, but they did not create your heart. They may have made you feel seen, but Allah knew you before they arrived, while they were present and after they left. So keep what was true, keep the gratitude, keep the wisdom, keep the part of yourself that became more honest, more open, and more alive. But release the demand that the past must return before your future can begin. Release the belief that one person was your only doorway to love. Release the need to be chosen by someone who could not choose you with clarity. Release the idea that letting go means the connection meant nothing. Sometimes letting go is how you finally understand what it meant. You were not meant to worship the mirror. You were meant to see through it. You were meant to see your attachment, your beauty, your fear, your longing, and the deeper hunger beneath all of them. And perhaps beneath every human longing was a greater longing that no single person could ever satisfy. A longing for a love that does not withdraw, a presence that does not become distant, a source of worth that does not change according to another person's feelings, a nearness that remains even when every human relationship changes. The person may have been part of the path, but they were never the whole path. They may have helped you recognize your heart. Now let that recognition return you to Allah. Do not leave the experience with only pain. Leave it with clearer vision. Leave it knowing that you can love deeply without losing yourself. Leave it knowing that a closed door does not mean mercy has ended. Leave it knowing that the light you saw through one person still exists beyond them. The mirror may be gone, but the truth it revealed is now yours. Carry that truth forward, and let the person you could not forget become not the reason you remain trapped in the past, but the reason you finally learned where your heart truly belongs.